I can say with absolute certainty there isn't a human being on the earth who knows as much about the history of selling as Todd Caponi. He's also the author of two brilliant books, The Transparent Sales Leader and The Transparency Sale. He's also the host of the Brilliant Sales History podcast, which is well worth a listen. He sat down to give us his top 4 sales books from history. Let's jump into book number 1.
All right, so before we start, this idea of coming up with the 4 greatest books of all time. If you go back, I found through the Library of Congress, as of 1922, there were 418 books written on salesmanship already. 418, and now I've got a collection here. I haven't read all of those. That's 1922. Let's add another 102 years to that and all the books. It's an impossible task to come up with the top 4, but what I want to bring light to is 4 books from pre-1930 that I think everybody should at least be aware of because they really laid the foundation for what sales is today. So, book number 1 is going to come from this lens of service-oriented mindset. All right, there is a guy named Arthur Sheldon. So he wrote a book in 1903 that is called The Science of Successful Salesmanship. Now, that's not the book I'm going to refer to, but he was the first one to really codify the science of sales. All right, so you've got John Patterson that was enacting it within NCR, and it created a bunch of people that went out and did other businesses using that methodology. But Arthur Sheldon, coming from a lawyer background, so he went to school to be a lawyer, but then he found his joy in selling books. He created correspondence courses that were the first of its type to create science of selling. Now, what I love about Arthur Sheldon, though, is that he was the guy that realized that true salesmanship is the science of service. Grasp that thought firmly and never let go. One of the greatest sales quotes of all time, and it comes from this beauty. This is 1911. I wish you could smell it because it smells like Grandma's basement. This is The Art of Selling by Arthur Sheldon. It is from 1911. I've got myself an original copy. It is freaking awesome, but it really focuses on the service element of selling and how when we serve our clients, we are no longer a necessary evil. We become an asset to them to guide them on the journey to incredible outcomes, which is really what our role is all about. So that one, number 1, The Art of Selling by Arthur Sheldon. All right, book number 2. I want to point to a book that I'm going to categorize it as most like today. All right, there was a guy named Norval Hawkins. Norval Hawkins, amazing story of his upbringing in how he ended up being the vice president of sales for Ford for 11 years. He literally came in to do a cost accounting study for Henry Ford. But in so doing, he realized, you know what, this sales organization's not run the right way. I should do it. The way he did it, though, the way he got Henry Ford to open his eyes to Norval Hawkins being the vice president of sales was pure challenger. So when we talk about the challenger sale today, Norval Hawkins in 1910, his book Certain Success, walks through challenger sale like you would be reading it today. Norval Hawkins then became what Henry Ford often referred to as his $1 million man and the greatest salesperson of the history of Ford Motor Company. All right, Norval Hawkins. So he wrote Certain Success. It's not only the challenger piece, but he's got a whole chapter on prospecting that you'd swear you were reading today. A whole chapter on objection handling that you swear you're reading today. It is freaking awesome. I love that book. I found in 1922, a chairman of the board for a company called McKesson and Company, he had written an article about the top 10 sales books of all time in 1922. And he's got Norval Hawkins' second book called Selling Things, which came out in 1920 on it. He doesn't mention Certain Success, but I think Certain Success is better. So number 2 is Certain Success by Norval Hawkins. All right, book number 3 is Men Who Sell Things by Walter D. Moody in 1909. And I'm categorizing this as just simply great writing. You know, when I read books today, I get bored. Like, you know, newer books, right? Because it's just the writing isn't that good. I read my own writing and I'm like, man, it was awesome. Book Authority recently had my book ranked as one of the top 10 sales books of all time, The Transparency Sale, my first book. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, I'm honored. And wow, is that complete crap? There is zero chance that my book is anywhere in the top 200. Like, that's impossible because of the great writing of people like Walter D. Moody. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read one paragraph from his book for you, all right? And just to show you like the kind of writing. So he talks about at the beginning what the purpose of the book is. And he says, I wish to write not of the doctrine of luck, chance, and good fortune, but of the doctrine of effort and result, to proclaim that highest form of 20th century salesmanship which brings success, not to the indolent, the improvident, and the dreamer, but to the striving, the intelligent, and the busy man. Who writes like that? Nobody. And like the whole book, it's great education around selling, but just the words he uses, it's word art. And I found myself as I'm reading it, stopping and rereading paragraphs over and over again. So that number 3, Men Who Sell Things, Walter D. Moody, 1909. So book number 4 is my bias around transparency and transparent selling. And so book number 4 is Scientific Selling and Advertising by Arthur Dunn. He originally wrote it in 1919, and then the version that I've read over and over again is 1921. When I talk about transparency selling, I'm talking about this idea that, here's Arthur Dunn's quote from 1921, and it's not just a quote. He's got a whole page dedicated to it. So you're reading, and then there's this blank page that's got one sentence on it. And that one sentence has this line: if the truth won't sell it, don't sell it. Like, I love it. Like, tears in the eyes. Like, that's the greatest line of all time, right? And he writes about, transparency as, a lie is a weapon of the weakling and the afraid. One using truth without realizing it appears frank and sincere, and nothing begets confidence more quickly than frankness and sincerity. There is no comeback to truth, no alibi, no hereafters, no explanations. It's as vital a force as though you could take it out and look at it and feel of it. Every successful man believes these things, right? And like, that's the kind of writing from Arthur Dunn, but it was just foundational. Hey, our job is to sell the truth and always sell the truth and help customers achieve optimal outcomes, even if it's not with us, and do that as quickly as possible. That's transparency selling 100 years before I wrote it. And I love his words. I love his lens. And I'm a big fan of Arthur Dunn. It should be. We forgot it. It's back to Arthur Dunn's quote. True salesmanship is the science of service. Grasp that thought firmly and never let go. Arthur Sheldon, right, 1911. We lost our grip on so much of that. And I think we need to get it back. The people that are successful over the long term do it the right way. There's another book, 1912, by Thomas Herbert Russell, and it's called Salesmanship. He writes a good book too, but he's got a headline in it: buyers know more nowadays, right? And in that, he talks about those 4 words, meaning that, hey, there is a threat to the sales community. This is 1912. The proliferation of information and advertising. Buyers are coming to the table having done much more of their homework, right? And it was just a few months ago, Gallup's like, buyers don't want to deal with salespeople, and they're coming to the table. Shut up, right? Like, this right here is a 1908 catalog, Sears Roebuck catalog. 1908, look at how thick it is. This is Amazon in 1908, right? Like, you could buy everything from, dining room chairs to, there's a whole section on our Department of Human Hair. Like, who needs human hair? Apparently people in 1908 did. So this whole idea that more information means salespeople are less important. I would argue that more information means salespeople are more important, because more information hasn't made it easier on buyers, it's made it harder. And our role, if we take that lens of service, is to help them cull through all that crap and make great decisions. That's when we become a welcome, partner versus a necessary evil, like so many of us. So I do have 2 quick honorable mentions that I just want to point out to everybody. So if you're listening, of course, and I'm guessing that as you've been doing these, you've had some people that have come out with this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? 1936, his first edition, the first print, he only printed 2,000 and they sold out in like 20 minutes. He's had to do hundreds and hundreds. So I've got a fairly early edition. It's not as early as I would hope, but it is a fantastic book. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1936. But I do want to call people's attention to this guy. Orison Swett Marden, he wrote a book in 1896 called Pushing to the Front. Now, when you dig into the history of Dale Carnegie's book, it talks to the fact that books like this, like Dale Carnegie's book, were written 30 plus years before his book. And it was Orison Swett Marden. Pushing to the Front is like How to Win Friends and Influence People, just written, I guess it's 40 years earlier, 1896. This is a print from, I think, 1904. It's freaking beautiful. And it was so popular that a second edition came out. I did manage to get my hands on that. So Pushing to the Front, Volume 2, I've got both of them here. So Orison Swett Marden needs more credit in the Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People story, but Carnegie's book is still pretty darn fantastic.